What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we will be hunting some really old looking customer wrap nickels and hoping to fill a number of spots in our album. This is episode number 11 of this nickel hunt and album fill, so stay tuned and let's get into these nickels. So if you haven't been following along, I'll put a link to the playlist right up here in the upper right hand corner, and you can go all the way back to episode number 1. But we are trying to fill out this Whitman album. It says 1938 to 2003, but I've put some additional pages in it. I do have a lot of holes to fill from 1938D through, I think 1951 is kind of my last major fill. And then it's all proofs up to 2009, and I believe I need the 2009 Philly. Let's see, yeah, it is the Philly that I need. You can probably see that empty hole right there. This book makes it a little hard to see. Other than that, it's just proofs and San Francisco nickels. So I'm not too hopeful of actually filling all those proofs in this book, but I would like to get the Phillies and the Denvers. So let's get that out of the way. You can see here, this looks like an obvious collection dump. When I went into the bank, my teller told me that a person dropped this off and they got it out of their dad's house. I do see things like 59. I saw one in here that said it was all 1970 BU. I do see X's on some of the rolls, so maybe that means there's no silver in there. Yeah, here's the one that says 1970D BU. And that does look like a really, really nice nickel in there. Also on the ender. I did drop one and it cracked open on the floor. I kind of just pulled it open to check for silver. I didn't see any, but these nickels do look really old, like they might be 40s and 50s. So I am super excited to get in here. I do think we'll have nickels all the way up through at least the 70s in here, but these look like really old rolls. I'm going to jump into them. I'm going to film as much of this as I can, bring you guys in as often as I can, because this does look like a pretty cool selection of nickels. So to kick us off, I did drop that one roll at the bank. Let's go ahead, since it's already wide open, and I won't have to struggle with the paper here. Let me look. I don't see any writing on this one. It does say Special Service Division of Armored Car Inc. It did look like it may have been re-crimped by the new owner of these coins, but maybe it was bank crimped all this time. Let's just get these out of here. Get them in some semblance of a line, or maybe two lines. Let's see what we have. Starting with a 64 Philly. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but if I find anything that is interesting, so there's a 63D. So I do have a document in the description down below this video that will talk about all the errors and varieties and double dyes and these kinds of things that we'll be looking for. So here we have a 1940 Philly, so our first 40s of the hunt. I did have a bunch of 60s up here. So here's a 46. Let's see here, we got a 46 Philly. Another 64. Some of these 64s just look gorgeous. There's a 64D. 62D. That's just a gorgeous 64D. I'm going to set that aside. There's another 62. That's got to be a D, right? Yep. All right, here's a 41 Philly. So we've now got 3 40s here in this very first roll. This is going to be a good fun hunt. There's a 64D. 66, that's our oldest so far. Here's our first 50s nickel. That looks like a 59. Let's see here. Yep, that is a 59. Looks like a Denver. I'll put that over on this side. The 66 Philly. 65, 64 Philly. Pretty cool. Here's a 60, just almost made it into the 50s. lots of 63s and 64s, and a couple of these 64s. I can't remember if it's the Denver or the Philly, but I'm going to have to go back through those. Just kind of wanted to go through them with you here on camera. But so far, we got 340s, a 50, and a bunch of really nice early 60s nickels that may be upgrades to the book. Okay, well, let's get into roll number 2 here. Now, this one does say 1969D. From the ender, it does look like it is a really, really nice nickel, and the other end is capped, which is kind of interesting. I did look on PCGS and Variety Vista. There's no varieties on this coin, and a MS65 1965D goes for about $36 according to PCGS in a graded state. So we'll probably, if these are really nice, pull a couple and flip them up and pull one aside to be an upgrade for my book. Because I'm sure that I do not have a BU 1969 in my book. Sorry this is taking a little while. I just don't want to destroy this wrap. Let's see if we can get some of these out. There we go. We'll just get a few. We don't need to get them all. See if I can show you guys. Now we do have a little bit of toning on these things. Look at that. That is an absolutely beautiful nickel. Definitely would be an upgrade for my book. For you big coin graders out there just looking at this video, if you'd love to take a stab, you know, would this be an MS63, an MS65? You know, where would we land? I'll put this under the scope to look at the steps. Let's see here. And I am zoomed way, way in. Oh yeah, no steps on these guys. They do look BU though. I understand a lot of these older nickels, that's part of the thing, is finding full steps is really, really hard because the strikes were not quite as good as they are today. So finding one with full steps is pretty amazing. We'll just look at a couple of these. I'll go back and probably put them all under the scope to see if I can find one with full steps. I'm not going to be real hopeful. This guy's actually got some steps here. We're not full by any means, but that top 2 rows, we can see all of it. So we might get lucky. But some beautiful 69s. Like I said, I'll pull at least one of these aside as an upgrade to my book. We'll get into roll number 3. So roll number 3, this one does say 40 pieces, 1970, and a wrap that I've not really seen before. I mean, I've got a couple in this batch, but I've just never seen this type of wrap before. And I've got some tape down in there. Let me start on this side. Tape or plastic or something. These look like they were hand rolled. Okay, I see what's going on here. That wrapped in cellophane. We'll just pull a couple out. Uh-oh, what do we have here? Oh, look at this. It's all Canadians. Very cool. These are like BU Canadian nickels. Look at that, 1970. Now, I'm not up on my Canadian currency. This is all probably just nickel. But these are absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. No idea the value on these either. I mean, at the end of the day, there's probably some of you out there that'd be like, hey, you just got screwed by a whole roll of nickels because these Canadian nickels aren't worth much here in the States. But I still think finding foreigns is pretty cool, and finding a whole roll of BU foreign is actually really, really cool. So, very neat. I'm going to get these wrapped back up and we'll get into the next roll. So before jumping into the next roll, I did look really quick on Canadian coins. I was right. These are 100% nickel from 1970. In uncirculated condition in an MS65, these are actually pretty pricey. $24.50 a nickel. MS60, they're down to 75 cents. So this might be a nice little roll to hang on to, throw on eBay, maybe put in my store. There are a couple of strike and variety errors in here. I'm not going to go through all of them. To check. I'm just going to leave them in their little BU state. So if you're interested in a roll of BU 1970 nickels, shoot me a note in the comment down below or shoot me an email. let's go ahead and get into roll number 3. So here we have 1968 SBU, and again, looking at the ender, I'm going to trust the roll. I'll go ahead and pull a couple of these guys out. Let's look really quickly. Up here, 1968S, no varieties, with full steps. They're really pricey. So you know what, I will go through this whole roll looking for full steps. I won't do that on camera. But in an MS65, I mean, we're talking, what is that, like $35 to $65 coin. So pretty cool. There we go. Just take a few of them out for you guys. Let's see what they look like on camera. So beautiful looking nickels. 1968S, in fact, and again, this is something I will pull from my book. Let's get a look at that mint mark under the scope. 1968S, there it is. So let's check out the steps on a couple of these guys. We got a couple of steps. We're definitely not full steps. Now keep in mind, like I said, that, you know, once you get into full steps at an MS65, this is a $1,300 coin. So I'm not real hopeful of finding that, but, you know, you got to look. You'll never know until you look. I'll do 1 or 2 more, and then I'll take this off camera and bring in if we happen to hit a jackpot. Now, the other thing I would say is, you know, these do, in fact, look BU, or maybe we could say AU. If we wanted to be really conservative. But nickels from this time period did. A lot of bag marks, fairly weak strikes, are really weak strikes, really on the reverse. So just because you see a lot of damage on the back of this coin, it is possible these things literally never saw circulation or were barely circulated. Okay, well, I'll look through the rest of these off camera. Let's get into roll number 4. Let's see, does this one say anything? No. We got a little tape. Everything looks a little old. Again, looks bank wrapped here. Customer crimped over here. Definitely a lot of old nickels. Just tell by the edges. They don't appear to be war nickels. Let's have a quick look together. Another set of BU. Looks like 64D. Well, not all BU, not all 64s. There's a 47. That's our first 47 of the box, or of the hunt. 47D. We'll put that up on the board. 64, 64. See another 41. There's another 64. We got another 41 Philly. There it is, 41. That's going to be old. We got a 42 Philly. Too bad we didn't have a war nickel there. That would have been all right. 64. Some of these 64Ds definitely look BU. Some look circulated. There's a 61 Denver. Like this guy, just beautiful nickel. 64 Denver. We'll check all of those for the repunch mint mark. That looks like a 59. Yes, it is. It is a 59 Denver. There he is. We'll throw them up here with our other 59. 64, 64. We have a 47. We already have the 47 up here. We have 42. 46, 47. So we already had a 47. This one appears to be a Denver. And a 61. All right, well, I'm going to go through these BU 64s and see if I can find some repunch mint marks. Get into the next roll. I think it's roll 4 or 5 here. Just like the last one, similar kind of wrapping. Again, nothing written on the outside. Very possibly just like the last roll, a lot of 64s. Let's see. Let's just get into it. We'll know once we dump them out here. Have a quick look here. Yep, I think this roll is going to be a lot like the last one. So I'll tell you what, I'll sort through it on fast forward, and I'll slow it down if we find anything interesting. So here we have our first 1958 of our little hunt here. 1958 looks to be a Denver. We'll throw that on the board. A 1957 Denver. A 1948. This one is a Denver. Getting into the next roll, we got 23 left if we're keeping track from the end here. But it says 40 BU 1969. We already did one of those. These are all 69s. I'll put these aside and we'll move on to the next roll. Unless, of course, these are all 69 Canadians. And we'll have a quick look. These are. We'll have a quick look then. There we go. More beautiful Canadian nickels in BU state, BU condition. Super duper nice. Sorry, I was just pulling up here on coins in Canada again real quick. 1969 5-cent pieces in uncirculated condition. Again, an MS65 would go for about 36 bucks a coin. And circulated, you know, we get down into the AU50 and lower, we're 10 to 20 cents a piece. So pretty nice looking coins here. And it does look like we've got a handful of varieties. I may hang on to these and go through those. Not going to do that in this video. Okay, we are 21 rolls from the end. This roll, it looks like it says 1970 DBU, and looking at the enders, I have no reason to not believe it. Really quickly, if we look up here, the 1970D, we don't have any varieties recognized by PCGS, but an MS65 would be $27, I think, to $36. If we can find some full steps, we're talking about a $5,500 coin. So let's go ahead and get these out of the wrap, or at least the first couple I'll look at together with you. And then we'll go off camera. I do like when I can get these out without having to destroy the wrap. All right, there we go. Again, like I said, no reason to doubt the wrap. These are just beautiful, beautiful nickels. It does appear to be a 1970D. Let's check out a couple for steps. And again, I will pull one for an upgrade. Not seeing any steps. Okay, well, I will do the rest of these off camera, and I'll bring you in if we get real excited and find a $5,500 nickel. 20 rolls from the end. We've got an X on this wrap. We look like we got something pretty darn old down here, and something that looks old but not in bad shape. I wish we had a war nickel marker on that, but we just don't. Let's start over here. We got another 1940. This is a 40D. Let's have a look at that D. There it is. got a 49. We got a 49 Denver. There it is, 1949 Denver. Do we have a 49? No, we had a 48. There's our 49. There's 17 rolls from the end. Let's jump into this one. That guy looks interesting. Probably just dirty. Let's see. 1951 looks to be. Is it a Philly? No, it is a Denver. 1951 Denver. We have our first Buffalo nickel. Look at that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a date off of that. Probably going to have to put it under with some nicodate to get to a date. Yeah, I mean, that's just as flat as it gets. But we have a Buffalo nickel. I see another Buffalo. Have a date on this one. Tough to see. But we have another Buffalo. Let me see under the scope here. Sometimes you can be too close. I'm not seeing anything. We'll probably have to nicodate that. Okay, so 15 rolls from the end, and this does look like the previous wraps we had with Canadian coins. So let's see, there's no other writing on here other than $2 in nickels. I do kind of dig how these wraps work, and that depending on the size, the little windows line up to what is inside. I think that's pretty cool. Turn these around. Let's see, do we have more Canadians? Nope, this time we have Jefferson nickels. It's pretty cool though, I think. We are 14 rolls from the end, and we have another one of those potential Canadian wrap. We got the X. This is like that last roll. It was all Canadian. And we have more Jefferson nickels in this one. So this is 14 from the end. I found a 1938 earlier. Probably didn't show you the clip because it is damaged. And it is a Philly, so it's not a key date. I believe the key dates are Denver's. They are. And we have our first 1939. It too is a little damaged, but let's see if it's the key date. And it is not. Let's put that under the scope. It is not the Denver, which is unfortunate, but we now have a 38 and 39 on the box. We have 13 rolls left, and I'll just start back here on the left-hand side. Let me move them up here so you guys can maybe just see the ends of them. Okay, so on that roll 13, I have under the scope a 1964D, and I'm not exactly sure. I mean, it looks like we got a lot of grease. A lot of grease in the strike here. It is a 1964D, and this doesn't quite look like what I see on PCGS, but it definitely looks like a D over a D, and I'm curious if any of you out there know otherwise. I've seen some other ones like this that look much more like machine doubling, but I'll put this one aside just in case. Let me see if I can get the PCGS pulled up here. So, based on their picture, I don't know if I have it. You know, theirs looks much more like a much larger D over a D. But that's what PCGS is showing. And there is mine. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I've never found one before, so I'm not 100% sure I would know it if I saw it. But to me, this doesn't look enough like what I'm seeing on PCGS. So we'll push this one aside and hang on to it. Let me know in the community down in the comments below if I have that D over D. We have 12 rolls left, and we have no markings on this one other than an X. Oh, there's another buffalo. He just fell out. He's right here. I'll leave him down there. We'll look at him last. Okay. So let's see here. We got another buffalo. It is dateless. I cannot see a date on that at all. And there's nothing on the back to indicate a mint mark or that it might be one of the early ones, because I can't remember what the year started, but they had a mound. There was no hard line over the words 5 cents, so nothing in here to indicate what year this might be, but that's 3 buffalo nickels on the hunt. So we were down to just 5 rolls, and this one is taped all kinds of crazy, so I'm real curious what's going to end up being in here. Not sure how I'm going to get these things out either. I'm just probably going to tear the end here and see if we can't squeeze them out. Well, no, I can't, because there we go. That'll work. Nothing else in there. Well, let's take a look. I'm not seeing silver. I don't think. Nope. Let's run through them real quick, see what we find. We have a 1958 Philly. Another 1958 Philly. Gosh, these will all be 58 Phillies. 58, 58, 58, 58, 58. Let's take a look, see. Is the 58 Philly? 58 Denver has a mint mark issue, an over mint mark or a repunched. And that's it. So unless we have some BU specimens in here, we're just going to blow right on through these. Got a whole roll of 1958s. Kind of giving them a quick look for steps as well. Full roll of 1958. 1958. Maybe it was written on the package and I just didn't see it. It's actually a nice looking 58. It's got some damage on him. You know, you still, even though it looks like it's a whole roll, you kind of want to eyeball all of them because you never know when they're going to have, the previous owner is going to have accidentally stuffed something in that roll. I'm going to put all of these aside just so I don't have so many here on the table. But that looked like an entire roll of 1958s. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to jump ahead because one of the rolls does say 59. So I have to assume that this is going to be a whole roll of 59s. Let's see if we can just get a couple out. Here we go. Now these are definitely not BU. 59. All 59 Phillies. Yep. Every single one of them. I will go through the rest of those off camera just to make sure we don't have any outliers hanging out in there, but that was fourth roll from the end. But it looks like it's a whole roll of 59s. Maybe there'll be a BU hanging out in there somewhere. Okay, well, 3 from the end, and this has been probably going to be a pretty long video. I've recorded most of it. I'm going to try to creatively cut it because it's really been looking at a lot of 1964Ds. But we've had so many older finds in this hunt that I want to show as much of it as I can. So here we are back on the 64s. 64D, 66. All right, well, I'll go off camera and oh, well, hang on. Said it too soon. We've got another buffalo, and I don't see a date. That'd be our 4th buffalo of the hunt. It does look dateless, but there we are with 4 buffaloes. Here's a 58. Even though we just did a whole roll of 58s. Yeah, we got a 58D now. There's a 1940. I guess maybe we will just plow through this roll real quick. There's another 1940. $64D. This should be old. It looks old. 59D. So another 59 Denver. Here's a 41 Philly. 64 Philly. 62 Denver. 64 Denver. So this was a crazy, crazy hunt, and it took me the better part of the day, and I want to go through all the finds, and it's because it was a collection dump, so we had lots and lots to look at, especially under the scope with all the 64Ds. Unfortunately, we only had one that I think was potentially a repunch mint mark, and I called that out in the middle of the video, but we did have a 38 and 39 Philly, just one. Both were pretty beat up. We did end up with 24 1940 Phillies and a 1940 Denver, which is a book filler. We had 1941 Phillies and a 41 Denver. We had that lonely 1942 Philly up there. We had, I believe it's 13 1946 Phillies and a couple of 46 Denvers. We had 4 1947 Phillies and 2 Denvers. We had a couple of pretty beat up 1948 Phillies, 4 of them. 48 Denver. We did also get a couple of 49 Phillies and a whole bunch, like 4 or 5 of the 49 Denvers. This 1951 Denver is going to be a book filler, which is nice. I like getting my book fillers. We had a 52 Philly, a couple of 53 Denvers, 54 Denver, 56 Denver. We had 4 57 Denvers. Here's where we had 12 58 Denvers and just 3 58 Phillies, and then a whole bunch of 59 Denvers. I think it was 12. I do want to jump downhill really quickly before I get to my other book fillers. We did end up with those Buffalo nickels. I did have one that I actually nickel-dated twice and just couldn't get anything off of it. And actually I can see a little bit now. It may have just continued to eat it, or I have them out of order. But from looking at them, I did have a 1913 Type 2. So one of them was a 1913. I did have to take a picture of it kind of at an odd angle for you to be able to see it. And it might even be this one. The other ones were a 1919, and you can see that one pretty well. And we had a 1929. So I was able to get really clear dates off of two, semi-clear date off of one of the other ones. And like I said, I'll put the picture up. The other one I just couldn't get a readable date off of. Coming back to my book fillers, I did have a 64 Philly in Denver that will be book fillers. Let me actually back out a little bit. This was that 64, potentially that repunched mint mark that I showed you guys under the scope. I'm not convinced it is, but it's a beautiful quarter. So if it is, this could end up being like a BU repunch mint mark. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. We have a 65 Philly upgrade. We have a 68 San Francisco upgrade, a 69 Denver upgrade, and a 70 Denver. These guys are all BU, and they're just beautiful. Outside of that, I did have full rolls of some stuff. So 58 and 59 Philly, we had full rolls. That 68S and 70D were full rolls of BU nickels as well. And then I had those two beautiful rolls of 69 and 70 Canadian nickels. I only looked at a few of them. I didn't take all of them out. But if there's anybody interested in picking these up, let me know in the comments down below or shoot me an email. So what I want to do now is get all this cleared off. I want to get my book fillers and my inserts put in, and we'll look at the book one last time before we call it a day. So real quick, looking at the book, we did put all of our finds in, and you can see now we have a 1940D snugly in there. If I come over to that 1951, it's ugly, but it's in the book. Makes me very, very happy. And then the rest of the upgrades were kind of here in the 60s, and you can see how much bling and shininess we have down there in the 68S, 69D, 1970. My 64s are looking a little bit sharper. So all in all, it was a pretty good hunt. I was hoping to find some silver. Unfortunately, we didn't get there. But the Buffalo nickels were pretty cool, especially getting a 1913 Type 2. And the difference between that and the Type 1 is the Type 2 has actually got this line on it. The Type 1 is the raised ground, where the 5 cents is actually on the mound of dirt. I do believe, now granted that's the 1919 I picked up. You know, the other one that I couldn't get a date off of, the more I look at it, the more I really want to see another 1913 in there. Like you can kind of see it here, but I'm just not sure. Anyway, it's been a while since I've done a bunch of nickels. This was a fun one because it was a collection dump and it was all pretty early stuff. If you enjoyed the video, please do consider going down below, leaving me a comment, clicking on that like button. If you're new to the channel and you like coin roll hunts, please consider clicking on that subscribe button and clicking that little bell and selecting all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. I guess I should also say none of these were book fillers because I already had all of these dates in my handy dandy little Buffalo nickel album. I will be hanging on to all of those BU rolls and things that I called out earlier, so if any of you guys need any of those, you know, shoot me a note. I'm happy to just throw it in the mail and put a stamp on it. You can send me a buck or something as a donation, and we can work that out. But I hope you guys are doing well. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.